And then I'd get my awkwardly click your fingers when you don't know what to say. Today's video is the third, I don't know what order I'm putting these up, so I'm going to say third, could be the second, in my Moneybook series, series. Done a disclaimer in my first one. You can see it in the first one, you probably need to watch the first one anyway to watch this one, but I'm not a financial advisor, this is just what I do. In this video, I'm going to talk about the update side of it, so my update pages throughout the month, and my credit card page, which could be a debt page for you, depending on what your circumstances are. So to begin with, I'll talk about the update side of things. In my first video, if you haven't watched that, you'll need to, because it won't make sense otherwise. But after, obviously, I do my first initial budgeting, I might come back after 2 weekends, a week, there's no really set time on it, and I'll do an update. If I've, say, had 2 busy weekends, I'll feel the need to know. Again, I'll put a mock-up of pages up. This is like a proper update, but obviously an update could literally be you pick out your money book and you just tick off that you paid the rent, paid the council tax. But this is like an actual sit-down, proper update where you write down everything, and I'll show you how I lay it out. So I'll put the day, and then I'll put how many weeks and how many weekends left until pay, and then the total amount I have cash and card, and then I'll write what's left to pay of all my direct debits, which can seem repetitive because we just did it on the other page, but again, that's what I do. Write them out, so I might have like half the bills left to pay. Then I'll get my receipts and online banking for any online orders I may have made. I will put it into my tracking log. So I'd write down everything, all what category it falls into, petrol, food, whatever. And I would minus it off the total and see what I've got left. And then I'll show on my mock-up how I highlight what I've got left.
Highlight it? Mm.
Then I would write out all my estimated, so then back to the update page, I'd write estimated and then write what I have left. So petrol, I might have 60 left in that budget, I might have spent loads on myself, so then you just know again where you're at. I can't go wrong, or I can't use too much of one budget and leave myself with no money for food, and then I've got to make sure I've got enough money in my account for bills. This is why I do the updates. I just think it's so easy to spend money. Like literally I can go on Amazon now, 2 clicks, and I've ordered something. It's so easy to spend money, so that if you just keep track of it, you know if you're actually spending what you essentially have. And normally after 2 busy weekends, I'm like itching to do it. And actually sometimes when I haven't done it, I'm like more willing to spend, because it's like ignorance is bliss. I'm just like, yeah, have my money, because I don't know. And for someone like me, back in the day, I hated spending money to the point where I would literally, not like get me down, but I would need stuff, but then wouldn't buy stuff, so it'd do like the opposite effect. So now I almost like congratulate myself on spending money sometimes. And I can't remember where I was going with this point, but yeah. So I've filled out all my direct debits that I've got left to pay, all my estimated bills, I've worked that all out. Then I'll take my total, just get my calendar. Then I'd get my calculator and just minus off everything I've got to pay. And you just hope you don't come up with a minus figure. You don't want a minus figure. And that is how I do an update. Obviously, if you're at a minus, say you're at minus £23, you're like, how, why, what have I done? You're going to have to obviously prioritise. You're going to have to think, okay, well, in my food budget, I've got 100 left. And in my budget, I've got 150, but I'm minus 23, so I'm going to take that 23 out of my own budget, and that's where it hurts a little bit, because you've not, you know, you've overspent somewhere and you can't work out why or whatever. Then you just, yeah, and you have to sacrifice. But if you didn't know that, imagine you just went through the month and didn't know this, you might minus way more, or especially if some of your bills are at the end of the month. Like some of my bills are at the end, and if I didn't know, I might spend that money for my bills on other stuff and not even be aware that I've done it. Sometimes you could be spending £5, £10, £50, you're not even spending a lot, but that adds up. But I did that with someone I knew who isn't a particular big spender, so I wrote down like all these different figures. And I said, how much do you think that is? I literally wrote like £2.75, £5 this, da da da. And I wrote, I don't know, like £50. It was like 150, but it just didn't look like 150. So that is why I do these update pages. These are probably just as important as like the budget. Obviously the monthly budget is the most important, but the updates are like really important. This whole book is important, okay? Some people don't have credit cards and shouldn't have them. I'm not like a threat to a credit card. When I look at something to buy, I nitpick at why I shouldn't buy it, rather than love this till. Like, I literally walk past things, I'm like, oh, I love that, and I walk off. If you know in yourself you can't have a credit card, then just don't have a credit card. One of my friends is like, we couldn't have a credit card because we would end up in debt, and that's fair enough. I have a credit card because I get rewards. I brought the TV in my bedroom off of my rewards. I use my credit card for anything that isn't a bill. I use it for all my leisurely spends, pretty much, and then at the end of the month I will pay that off. So as part of my update, I have credit card and what I need to put back into there, so I have to keep on top of it. I often do big Zara orders, expecting to keep at least one thing, and sometimes just keep nothing. Use that as like a security thing. I'll spend online on my credit card so that if anything was to go wrong, isn't there some sort of backup? I don't know. I always book holidays on my credit card, again for the same reason. It's protected. I think it's protected, I'm sure it is. Yeah, so I have my credit card for that reason, so I just keep on top of that. Sometimes I do use it. Say, for instance, when I bought my bedside tables, they were £59 each, and I wasn't actually planning to buy them. So I'd spent my home fund, but they'd just come back in stock, and I'd waited for them to come back in stock for so long. So I was like, right, I'm just going to buy them on my credit card. And then I just decided that next month that will be what I've spent. So I wrote it on my credit card, wrote bedside tables, 100 and whatever, say whatever month it was in, June pay. So I knew that as soon as June pay come, that's what to pay. So I used it in a manageable way. I didn't just buy it on there and think, I'll pay it when I can. Because pay it when you can is probably never, or in drips and drabs, and you're going to write all this interest. There is like a certain time of the month, and I'm not Martin Lewis, but I'm sure he could tell you that when you use your credit card and pay at a certain time, you don't actually get the interest. I'm not Martin Lewis. I'm not trying to be Martin Lewis. I'm just me. And just showing you what I do. I've said that a million times.
God, how many disclaimers you want to make? They get the point.
And if you had a debt page, this is not a real debt, but this is like my version. I brought my camera with my savings, but to not feel like I was spending my money, I've set up like a direct debit back to myself. So I basically have a camera, and then I'm looking at it now. Then I have owed to savings, total left to pay, and then I've worked out what I'm going to pay per month, and then I have every month, and I tick it off when I put it back. And that's the same for a debt. Sometimes you don't want to look at debts. You're in a situation where it's hard to pay it back. At least when you know, you know. I just think knowledge is knowledge power? Is that what it is? Another Pinterest quote. God, get off Pinterest. I watched this girl, I need to remember names, but I watched this woman, and she was talking about if you've got a problem and you can't solve it, at least put a bucket under it. And I was like, I love that. So at least if you know it, you can write it down. You can sort out maybe even paying a little bit off. I don't know where this has come from, but you get the gist. That is basically what's in my money book. I hope that explains the 2 other pages in my book. If I haven't, comment below. I might do like a roundup if you've got any questions on the book. Maybe there's pages that I do spur of the moment. I might they might not apply all the time. You might think of a page that you may need that maybe I can think of a way to do it. I don't know, just any questions. Maybe I'll do like a money book Q&A. I've never done a Q&A, I've just always wanted to do, I love a Q&A. For me, my money control, organisation, whatever you want to call it, starts with my money book. But like now, after going through this series, I can now talk about money a bit more in different ways, maybe ways to save, ways to spend less money, all different videos like that. Like, there's so many things I feel like I have to say about the subject, just through just the way I am. Hope you enjoyed. Hope this made sense. La 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 la.
Comment, like, subscribe.
Thanks for watching. Ciao. Bye.